welcome to UNCAGED, a show produced to highlight and celebrate the thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to commerce of tomorrow. Today, we've got John Occhipinti on the show. Hi, John.
Hey, how are you?
I'm really well. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited to talk to you about a lot of the stuff that you're working on and things that you've been involved in. John right now is the CEO and executive chairman of a really interesting company called NatureBox. If you haven't heard of NatureBox, it is a truly nationally recognized tech-enabled CPG company. It has already sold over 3 million snack boxes to consumers and corporations and maintains the largest collection of wellness snacks infused with adaptogenic plant-based ingredients to help people live better, more balanced lives. I think I almost got that pronounced correctly.
Yeah.
Adaptogenic.
What? Yeah, what's an adaptogen? Like that's kind of, like a lot of people kind of like scratch their head. A plant extract that actually helps you reduce stress in your body. So yeah, we've a long journey figuring that out recently, but really excited.
Excellent. So I mean, John, before NatureBox, has been very involved in the private equity space, really kind of and venture space of the Silicon Valley venture space. Very involved in some exciting technology businesses, and he's also the co-founder and managing partner of Wheelhouse Partners. And I'll let that kind of come out in our conversation today, John, and the stuff that you're working on there. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here at NatureBox.
Yeah, how do I get to running a snack company? It's kind of a crazy journey life gives us. I was really fortunate. I grew up with a family of entrepreneurs had run their own businesses. I grew up here in Silicon Valley, worked at Oracle. I was early at Netscape. Now I'm kind of dating myself. A lot of younger entrepreneurs have no idea what Netscape is. And then I was fortunate. I was in venture capital, funding seed and early stage companies from 1999 to about 2000, actually till today. Sitting in the board seat, watching these companies take the capital that, we invested in term sheets, and those entrepreneurs started to realize that their business model now became my business model. So really, Wheelhouse was a manifestation of an insight that is very specific to Silicon Valley that says, hey, like a VC business model is to go big or go home. I own 20% of your company, and for me to return $1 billion fund that I may manage, I need you to have, outsized outcomes. So what happens is it kind of takes a number of entrepreneurs that have amazing businesses, can build amazing brands, but they kind of get off their authentic business models and they pursue the growth at all cost strategy and get really sideways. So I felt that there was an opportunity to buy some of these companies that have amazing brands, have built amazing products, have really loyal customers, and then turn them into profitable businesses. And so that led to NatureBox, where we acquired the business, and pretty quickly thereafter, after owning it, now I wanted to operate it. And we took over as CEO of NatureBox, really at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So
that's
yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I always hear the go big or go home mantra, and I really agree with you. I think that there are so many amazing companies that just get kind of lost in that shuffle, and so if there's a way to kind of build that story in a positive way, that's great.
It's sort of like the psychology, though. Everyone buys into it when you want to go big as a founder. Like you want to have that, Google-esque sort of like outcome, right? But in kind of falling in love with that dream, you may miss the fact that your customers, you're really about making your customers super, super happy and focusing on them versus your outcome. And so it's a slight subtlety, but if you're passionate about customers, those things can happen organically, and that's the best way for them to happen. through your customers' words, not where your investors are piling in cash.
So John, right now you're working on NatureBox. Tell me a little bit more about the path there, how that has shaped over the last couple of years, and what is exciting you right now.
Yeah. So the path there is kind of interesting. I really never thought I'd be in the snacking business, but I've always been interested in mindfulness and being sort of very much conscious of like how I live my life, et cetera. And so the focus initially on the company was really, hey, what are we really great at? Where's the business model? Where are we going to focus? Instead of doing 5 things, let's do 2 things extremely well. And initially we said, listen, let's focus on our corporate snacking business. And then on the direct to consumer side, we have these better for you snacks that are great. They taste great, but what can we do to elevate that game to really bring back that consumer side? And so we were on the path of doing this corporate snacking business in 2019. We focused on the customer. We took our NPS scores from like low 20s to over 80, which was pretty unheard of. And we had like a growing, successful business. And then something happened to me personally. So I have 3 kids. My second daughter was in college at the time all this happened. But earlier in her life, she had suffered from sort of sensitivities to her skin. In middle school, she suffered from migraines that turned into massive migraines that would last a week long. She had called me. She was in college and said, "Dad, I just can't function. I have this week-long migraine." So I said, "Listen, come home. Mom's out of town." And I said, like, how are we going to solve these? Like, Tom Brady drinks a gallon of water and he is super healthy, only eats leafy green vegetables. Let's like change your diet. Hired a masseuse. Nothing was working. And then a friend of ours said, you really ought to try this. A plant-based extract comes from a hemp plant called CBD. So we actually bought a small tincture of CBD, literally 2 drops spent under her tongue, and her headache would just disappear. And I said to myself, like, wow, that's kind of an amazing ingredient that basically helped her level out her endocannabinoid system, basically helped her manage her serotonin levels. And it was really the stress that triggered these headaches. She's super sensitive, but this particular plant ingredient basically changed her life. And I was like, wow, what if we infuse CBD into a snack? What would that do? And I went to my VP of marketing and she's like, you are nuts. Like, that's not what we do. And I said, well, let's just do a survey. Let's merchandise this thing on the site and see just like, will we get any clicks on it? Will we get any action? Yeah. We sent out an email saying like, we're thinking about launching the CBD snack, and our site traffic doubled overnight. And
wow.
so that really kind of led us on this journey of, okay, how do we really change the way we think about snacking? Snacking is something we've been doing for years, right? So, we started building in these plant extracts into the snacks. So every day we live our lives unconsciously. It's like Groundhog Day, especially today with COVID lasting so long. We get up, we go down to maybe our office, our desk, and we live our lives unconsciously. Our cortisol levels in the afternoon are they high? So we grab Doritos and we grab snacks, and our bodies are sort of unconsciously asking themselves to be soothed. What we're trying to do is change that to a more mindful experience where you're taking a snack that tastes just as good as a Dorito, but may help you level your cortisol levels in your body, actually help you manage stress. Mm-hmm. So that's the mantra that we're coming back to. So anyway, sorry to long-winded, but like NatureBox is about fundamentals of bringing that company back to its fundamentals of focusing on customers, but then also weaving in what I'm passionate about is about mindfulness and trying to reduce stress in our lives.
Yeah.
And those 2 things, when you bring purpose to a company, actually may flourish. And that's what we're excited about with what's happening.
No, and I can see how the company has really evolved from kind of delivering natural products to then really helping offer people a pathway to more than just kind of healthy food, but kind of wellness food, right? In a way, yeah. Which is an amazing need, especially I would say during the last year that we've gone through, where I'm imagining that anxiety levels are high everywhere. So
It's
yeah,
interesting is that we're all experiencing stress, social injustice, the political environment, working from home is so stressful for so many people. How do I advance my career? But we're not only thinking about it. What's interesting is that tying this back to sort of our corporate snacking business, uh, corporations and employers are really caring about their employees. Like I care about my employees. Like how can I think about their wellness? And for the first time, employers are having to start thinking about their work from home employees, not just like what their vacation schedule's like, but like maybe they're having to make life decisions about taking care of an elderly person or their kids in school. And so there's sort of this blending of the wellness of the employee and the wellness of the employer's recognition of that. So it's kind of interesting that wellness is not just about snacks that taste good that have these functional benefits, which we agree, but it's also maybe about an employer actually delivering a box, which is a surprise and delight, sort of an uplifting experience for an employee to help them kind of manage their stress, right?
yeah, no,
So
I've thought a lot about this, which is that I don't think my company was any different, which is that we were very much a culture, but it was a concrete based culture. It was an office based culture, and we've had to evolve to being a virtual culture.
yeah,
And whilst I think we had a very powerful concrete culture, the wonderful thing that our HR team and our culture, our leaders have been able to do is to translate that into a virtual structure, of which that idea of surprise and delight is critical, right?
yeah,
Critical, right?
yeah.
So I think it's a great, great idea. And John, you've been involved with so many amazing early stage businesses that have become huge companies over their lifespan. And now you're working with this company that's focused on the really kind of the CPG space
Mhm.
with natural food product, an enhanced food product. Um, I'm imagining that all of the types of businesses that you've worked with have challenges, but what are the challenges that you face that are perhaps unique to NatureBox versus kind of some of these tech companies that you've been at over your career?
Yeah, it's a different, like when you're selling software, your margins are extremely high, right? So you don't have to deal with inventory, managing inventory, SKU counts. And so there's a level of complexity with a product like this and managing that supply chain. So you really need really smart people that know how to do that. And so, thank goodness, I have a team that basically understands those things. But as a CEO, like you have to understand what's an inventory turn and how many turns are good for a successful business, and how does it manage your cash flow. So it just adds another layer of complexity, to a business. But I think ultimately it comes back to the fundamentals of really listening to customers. We are maniacally focused on NPS. So every time a customer buys and touches our product, they get an NPS, a simple NPS survey. Would you recommend this to a friend on a scale of 1 to 10? And so, and I have a dashboard where I get those customer responses, and I can view those like every day. And I will reach out to customers. We have thousands of these responses, and I will personally reach out. And that's where I love that part of it. So I think all business comes down to fundamentals of creating a value proposition, hacking that value proposition as a startup to figure it out. That's product market fit. And then the next thing is, like, once you figure that out, you have customers that love you, and hopefully they're giving word of mouth to other folks. That's the best market you can get. But then it's like hacking growth and figuring out how you actually grow the business and drive
Yeah.
more leads. And that's hard too. So there's sort of this, get the customer right, value proposition right. I think that's the same across, foundational to any business, software or snacks. And we actually started selling our snacks like software band. We like we $20 per employee per month. unlimited snacks. It's like snacks in the cloud. So
Yeah, I like that. I love that. The only problem is that you can't send a cashew nut via email. You gotta actually send it to the people.
yeah,
But
that's where the supply chain kind of comes in a little bit, you know.
yeah,
Um,
so there's a lot more complexity here, for your business and going forward. That's really interesting. I mean, as you go through all of the battles and challenges on a daily basis, what is keeping you sane, and what is giving you the most joy these days?
Yeah, I think it's just like the most joy is solving hard problems and starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like as an entrepreneur, you have to have this sort of dual personality where you have this belief that you will succeed no matter what, and then the other foot is sort of grounded in the oh shit, you're stepping in a bunch of crap. Like, and it's like, and the data is not showing you that you're doing that. So that is the challenge to kind of get yourself there. For us, like COVID was a challenging year. Like, 50+% of my revenue disappeared in a month.
Yeah.
And so we were sailing on that ship, and they call it like sailing in irons. If you're sailing into the wind, like you're going nowhere. And so we were sailing in irons, and the ship was like had a big hole at the bottom. And but the great thing is watching the team bail as hard as they could, right? And then
Yeah.
patch that boat up and then tack a little bit. And now we're focused on this. What we're excited about is there's a whole new genre of consumer that is coming into the market that people kind of appreciate, but don't really, and they kind of intuitively know it. It's this work from home consumer. Like 4% of the workforce work from home. But man, you and I know as running companies, you can be pretty darn productive with people working without an office space. Those office spaces are pretty damn expensive.
Yeah.
And so the reality is there's a lot of estimates to say like 24% of the workforce is going to be working from home or hybrid.
Yeah.
So that's a new opportunity. So Nestle and big companies, CPG companies, Mondelez, I'm sure that they're thinking about what's that consumer behavior? How's that changing? What's going to happen? So we see that as a really interesting silver lining of like, if we can focus on that and grow our business dramatically, and we're starting to see that. And so
Yeah.
I get excited about just solving problems and seeing seeing it work, Um,
No, I think you're absolutely right. The companies that seem to be coming out of 2020 with a refreshed outlook and a kind of a positive trajectory really were the companies that almost looked at the 2020 period as almost like a war, right? Where you had
yeah.
to like bring people together and be like, right, okay, it's not going here. How are we going to get this fixed? And it really sounds like you guys have done that. And I'm just thinking about your product and how important that idea is. And just snacking in the old days in an office was such a critical part of almost that water cooler conversation, right? And now it's you're essentially having to reinvent that for the new working world, which is amazing, which is truly amazing.
Yeah, it's funny how the ideas come out of the team. Like, my sales team is sitting there like, I just started calling it a snack pass. It's a snack pass. That sounds interesting. What's snack pass? Like, well, like it's a credit on our website, It's like, oh, okay. What if we created these snack passes? They're not gift cards. They're basically gifts of love, like by the company to kind of load your account and you get this benefit. And then that could be on a recurring basis. So that brings back our MRR model. And so, how do we automate that process, make that super easy, give dashboards, to that whole process so I can manage all these remote employees and how can I get so there's just like a lot of great energy that comes out. But to get that creativity, you can't be in fear, right? Like you cannot be paralyzed because a lot of companies, a lot of people, just this COVID thing happens and then they're just paralyzed. Like, what do I do? And when you're in a state of fear, you cannot be creative. You cannot grow. You cannot solve problems. And
Yeah.
that's the trick of a leader is how do I engender not a sense of fear, even though shit is happening with the company and it's really bad. But how do we find those threads that people can get behind and get excited about?
Well, you start with a snack, and then we can kind of get past the fear.
Yeah.
So as you're thinking about the next steps with NatureBox, what does 2021 look like for you guys, and maybe after that?
So here's what's interesting, I think, about 2021 for us. So most e-commerce businesses have a fundamental problem, and that is, how do I acquire new customers? And then how do I monetize them? So there's sort of this CAC to LTV ratio. CAC is cost of customer acquisition, lifetime value. And most e-commerce folks have to spend oodles of money on Facebook to get a cost per action to get a consumer into the door. And then they have to have hopefully a 3x revenue multiple on top of that. What's interesting with us is that we think that we have kind of cracked that code. Like we are getting free consumers through this corporate channel by landing 1,000 employees at a time with a corporation through a wellness program. Maybe they're using wellness dollars through their insurance. It's free. We get onboarded all these new folks. So we think that we've kind of cracked the code on how to grow an e-commerce business in the work from home consumer. And I'm excited about sort of really kind of growing and evangelizing that. At the same time, delivering these kinds of products that could make a difference a small difference in someone's life, and helping them manage stress, and helping them break those unconscious habits of eating Doritos, and give them an alternative that's a better for you, healthy alternative. And I think there's just more attention to that. We're all coming out of COVID, and we look back and we say, like, what are we more grateful for, right? Like, what do we care about and what's important in our lives? And hopefully there's more of a sense of well-being and managing my stress levels now that those environmental stress levels hopefully are coming down, and we'd like to continue to see those come down. I can live my life again, but maybe I'll live my life a little bit better than I did, before COVID, and I was in those old habits. So, that's what we're hoping to tap into if we can.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I do think that, NatureBox has been a company that has evolved over time. Certainly, I think was born from that kind of generational change that people saw, where people were more aware of natural products and perhaps a new way to think about snacking in a healthier way. But what I see here in this conversation today, John, is how you've evolved that, and how you're actually thinking about the behavioral changes of the consumer and how they're thinking about snacking in this new way, and then extending the snack past just being healthy, but then also actually helping you handle truly wellness issues like anxiety. And I mean, what a amazing progression. I'm so excited to see where NatureBox goes as a company. Thank you so much for joining us today on Uncaged, John.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. So John, I mean, thanks for being here. Uncaged is a show where we give executives like yourself a chance to share their journey and what they've been working on, and really outline how that's mapping a path to the world of commerce tomorrow. And I think that we've heard today from John Occhipinti on how that's going to how snacking is going to be part of that, and how that will power us through our days in a healthier, a more focused manner. So thanks again, John. It's been great to have you on, and we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you. Awesome.